What's up, mob crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat. Let's go ahead and adjust my mic here for a second. Happy Friday to everybody. For those that are new to my channel, welcome. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the missing. And today we're going to be talking about the Titan sub. I've been covering it for pretty much this whole week. Sadly, we got the bad news yesterday that they found the debris field. And so today there's been some interviews with James Cameron, which is very fascinating. I love James Cameron. We'll kind of look into that, watch a little bit of his interview. And then there was another interview. It's pretty short, but it's about a guy that has a contact, I think maybe on the Polar Prince or something. And he talks about apparently there was a possibility that before this implosion happened, that they actually knew something was wrong and that they tried to drop the ballast, the weights. So we'll watch that interview. And then my mod, thank you to D, sent me a video of a guy that was actually, I guess you could call him an influencer. He had was going to be on a trip, and I think he was actually going to be on this trip, but he was on the vessel, I think like 2 days before. Don't quote me exactly, but he was literally going to go out this year. And so he had uploaded his experience on YouTube. And so I took a few clips from that because it's kind of eerie. This is literally days before the tragedy, so we'll look at that, and then we also we'll look at the updates as far as what they're going to do. It sounds like they're going to try to recover what's left, and we'll look at some updates as far as that goes. But thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the show. For those that are new to the channel, not only do we cover, true crime cases and stuff like that, but we actually like to give back by featuring the missing. So today we have Alyssa Jones. She went missing a month ago on May 21st out of Boise, Idaho. Just 14 years old. I believe in the notes it says she might be a runaway, but you never really know. So she's got brown hair, brown eyes, 5'5", 125 pounds. If you have any information, you can call 911 or 1-800-843-5678, which is 1-800-THE-LOST. And there's my neighbor with the motorcycle on cue. My apologies. I've got something ordered to, because I got my window right here, and I have a neighbor that's got a motorcycle he just bought, and it kind of filters through. So I've got some soundproofing coming soon. I'm gonna put up against the window here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and play. I did do a video today, which is doing pretty well. I'm gonna play part of that. Just gives I'm sure most of you know this story, but I'll just kind of play the timeline, and then we'll get into all the things that I just talked about. So let's see here. I think it's this one here. Perfect.
Oceangate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing.
Okay. Let me get that ready.
I think that's pretty clear. I wish I had been more vocal about it.
And for those that have seen this video, I'm not playing the entire video that I uploaded today. I'm just playing the intro, which has got the timeline and everything in it.
About that, but I think I was unaware that they weren't certified because I wasn't really studying it. I wasn't really interested. Stockton Rush asked me if I wanted to go out there and dive this season. Within an hour and a half, I had the following information. They were on descent. They were at 3,500 feet. They lost comms and tracking. The last one being the critical one, because the transponder that's used to track a sub during descent and on the bottom is a fully autonomous system. It's in its own pressure housing, and it has its own battery power. So for them to lose comms and tracking at the same time, the sub was gone. There was no question in my mind. For days I tried to run
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, where we cover murder, mystery to the missing. On Sunday, June the 18th, OceanGate's submersible called the Titan, which is piloted manually inside, unlike an ROV, which is controlled remotely. The Titan sub descended that morning to examine the wreck of the Titanic with a total of 5 people on board, including the CEO of OceanGate, Stockton Rush, another pilot, Paul, and 3 passengers, billionaire Hamish Harding, and a father and son from Pakistan. The submersible Titan has a mothership called the Polar Prince, which they keep in contact with each other via text communication. But after 1 hour and 45 minutes into its descent, and with the sub most likely reaching the bottom, nearly 13,000 feet, the Polar Prince not only lost communication, but the tracking systems. And during that... So one interesting thing that we learned in the James Cameron interview, for those who may have not seen, he's done quite a few interviews today. But one of the interesting things that he talks about, because obviously he's been down to the Titanic, he filmed the Titanic movie, he's been down to the Mariana Trench, so he understands, because him and another guy developed the one, that the Challenger Deep, that went down to the Mariana Trench, and he had a hand in building it, and knew all the components. So he knew if there was anything wrong, he knew, he didn't need an engineer or something, because he's down there all by himself. So he need to understand all of the components, and if there's any malfunction, he knows what he can do. And what's interesting in his interview is he talks about how the comms and the radar or beacon or whatever, or the tracking, were in 2 separate parts of the hull, which meant, so you have your communication in one, and then your tracking or whatever in a separate. And so he said he knew when both of those went out, that had to mean most likely a catastrophic failure. So I thought that was interesting that he talks about that. So I'm going to keep playing this just a little bit more, and then we'll watch a little bit of his interview. I'm just playing a little bit of highlights from the James Cameron interview, and then we'll move on to the things, the source about how the crew may have known something was wrong. And then also shout out to Carolyn, who we had on yesterday, our scientist, who has been out there to help us. And she was talking about how when she heard the banging noises, she believed that was something else. And it's interesting because they have an expert talk about those banging noises and what they believed it was. I'm not sure if they confirmed what it was, but they were pretty sure what the source of the banging was. And Carolyn was spot on. So shout out to her, and that'll be a little bit later in the video. So, and Anna, yeah, that carbon fiber, yes. So it can withstand those depths, but the biggest problem is when it gets down to that level, and since it's a carbon weave, I mean, we've talked about this the last few days, is that it just slowly degrades, and the pressure and the heat and temperatures of a carbon weave will eventually cause it, just like a porcelain doll, to just completely break, unlike a titanium or iron steel hull. So yeah, that was a big concern. And like I said, I played that video from the Subbrief, which is the expert, and he even, second he saw the way it was built, knew that this was going to be a problem. At that moment, a loud bang was captured by others, including the Navy. Here's a new interview with James Cameron, who has been down to the Titanic and even the Mariana Trench, expressing what he knew about this ship and his thoughts on what happened.
And here we are again, and at the same place. Now there's one wreck lying next to the other wreck for the same damn reason. Search, search, search. 4 days of search. They're searching everywhere. They were running around with their hair on fire. The sub was right where it was. It was literally on the seafloor below its last known position, which is the first place you look in a search is the last known position. You don't go running around all over the landscape with planes and trains and automobiles searching, right? It was right where it was when it imploded. And I knew that's where they were going to find it. It's a small community. Within an hour and a half, I had the following information. They were on descent. They were at 3,500 feet. They lost comms and tracking, the last one being the critical one, because the transponder that's used to track a sub during descent and on the bottom is a fully autonomous system. It's in its own pressure housing, and it has its own battery power. So for them to lose comms and tracking at the same time, sub was gone. There was no question in my mind. For days, I tried to run other scenarios that could account for it. I could come up with nothing. So the next thing I did was contacted a few more people and managed to track down, there are acoustic networks around. Some are research, some are intelligence. We got confirmation within an hour that there had been a loud bang at the same time that that comms were lost. A loud bang on the hydrophones, loss of transducer or transponder, loss of comms. I knew what happened. Sub imploded. I sent emails to everybody I know. I said, we've lost some friends. The sub has imploded. It's on the bottom in pieces right now. I sent that out Monday morning. We never expected to see a scenario like this. We may go into hazardous environments like...
So that implosion would have been very loud just because...
External pressure.
Okay, so... there's a second part to this interview. Because, he did a couple of different interviews. This one's a little bit shorter. I'm going to play this one, and then the next video talks about where... what they believe the source of the banging noise was. And so, like I said, shout out to Carolyn, because I think she nailed it.
Carbon fiber composites are used very, very successfully for internal pressure vessels, like let's say a scuba tank. And you can get 2 or 3 times multiple of what you could get out of steel or aluminum for that type of pressure bottle. But for something that's seeing external pressure, all of the advantages of composite materials go away and all the disadvantages come into play. So if you're using a uniform material like steel or titanium or ceramic or acrylic, you can do computer modeling with a high degree of accuracy and confidence. The second you start doing carbon composite or any kind of composite materials, you're introducing 2 materials that are in contact with each other, the filament itself and then the epoxy matrix that it sits within. And at that point you have degradation failure. So we always understood that this was the wrong material for submersible hulls, because with each pressure cycle you can have progressive damage. So it's quite insidious, because you may have a number of successful dives, which is what happened here, and then have it fail later. If I were diving in a sub that was fully certified, I wouldn't think about it. But even in my own sub, which had a steel hull, I knew that if I dove several 2 or 3 times, it was probably good to go, because you can cycle steel hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. But that's not the case with composites. So it's quite insidious, and that, I think, lulled them into a sense of confidence and led to this tragedy. But these are known things. They're known within the engineering community.
Well, we also want to point out OceanGate's former director of marine operations. He wrote this engineering report in 2018, I think it was. He focused his criticisms on the company's decision to rely on acoustic monitoring the sounds the hull made under pressure, as opposed to a scan of the hull. According to him, the company claimed no equipment existed that could perform that kind of a scan on the 5-inch thick carbon fiber hull. I know it's difficult to say, obviously, without reading the report, but I'm wondering what you make of that, because it seems like this company was making a big deal about the sensors they had that could, sense a problem with the hull, and if they could sense there was a problem, then they would have time to turn around and go back up. Clearly, they didn't.
It's a bit like saying we have a bit of a poor design for the engine in our jet or our rocket ship, but we have a sensor that will tell us if it's on fire. To me, that's cold comfort, and I think that if you're building a hull where you need to have sensors to tell you that it's failing, in the process of failing, you have no business designing subs or being in that sub. They touted it, I believe, as a good thing, as a safety protocol, but I consider it a bad thing, because it sheds a light directly on the fundamental flaw of their.
Okay, so yeah, that was a big thing. Just so many concerns from so many entities. Even former employees that worked there that raised red flags about his design, which is terrible because it cost 5 people's lives, and that shouldn't have happened. Obviously, if I was going to make a ship, I would be talking to the guy that designed the Challenger Deep, in my opinion. I mean, if you got the funding, I would assume you'd want to talk to the guy that's gone to the lowest depth that any man has ever been to, or built the ship that made it to the, lowest depth. I forget the depth of the Mariana Trench off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody in the chat could probably point it out. The Titanic, that's almost 13,000 feet. It's like 12,500 feet, but I know the Mariana Trench is much more. But yeah, ego over safety. It really, sadly, it is. It's what it kind of sounds like. So, okay, what do I got? Because like I said, now we're kind of getting some stuff that I kind of came across. One thing before I play some of the new stuff for you guys, I just wanted to quickly shout out Carolyn. I think it's Carolyn or Caroline, and Stacy for the Venmo donations. Thank you so much. That helps us out so much. For those that may be newer to my channel, not only do we cover these kind of top cases, but we do go out and help and assist in the missing and cold cases. We just got back working on 2 cases, and we're literally scheduled to be going out here towards actually the beginning of next month. So, and we couldn't be able to do that without donations from you guys and just everybody taking the time to watch the show. So thank you so much. All right, so let's see, which video is this one?
From the outside with
Okay, so this is just a short video of one of the many trips that failed.
holding.
And what happened next? You won't be disappointed, as we'll show you a little later on Sunday morning. Our dive in the OceanGate submersible had made it down only 37 feet when this happened.
So apparently those floats there came off the platform. That wasn't supposed to happen, so we're scrubbing?
Yeah, I think that's the consensus up here.
Copy that.
I was crushed. My diving adventures were over.
Every expedition has its challenges, all of them. I have not been in one expedition where things have to be adjusted, adapted, changed, or canceled at the end of the day. You're at the mercy of the weather.
Renata Rojas speaks from painful experience. Over the years, she's been booked on 3 Titanic expeditions. All 3 were canceled.
All 3 canceled, and she's not the only one. Many others have had that same experience. Apparently, there's a couple of lawsuits, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more to come, or if they just haven't been brought to light. But I know there's a few, because I don't know what they're telling these people, whether, okay, well, you can just come back out next year, because there's only a limited window to go out there. But there's a lot of people that have the same stories, that they went on this vessel and they go down, and 20 minutes later they're coming right back up, and they spent $250,000.
You just cry a lot.
Day at sea.
Sitting at 3742 meters, reports on bottom.
But that was the last of the good news.
I said, do you know where we are? 100 meters to the bow, then 470 to the bow. If you are lost, so are we.
There's no GPS underwater, so the surface ship is supposed to guide the sub to the shipwreck by sending text messages.
Turn 30 degrees right?
Probably 30.
And that's another thing that a lot of the experts is the design with the communication with the text messages. That was a poor design.
But on this dive, communication somehow broke down. The sub never found the wreck.
We were lost. We were lost for 2.5 hours.
Rush says he'll offer those passengers a free do-over next year. And that's
So that's what they're being told, is a free do-over next year. But then, I mean, how many people, next year, you got all these people that, start kind of adding up. That sounds crazy. Irresponsible.
just one cost of doing this business.
Are you making money on this operation?
No. So, not yet. People might say, that's a...
Sorry, I didn't put this music on. So I'm going to skip this. I think we're going to go to the next one. Okay, so this is how they screw in the hole. This was another red flag. I mean, I think a lot of you guys have heard this, but this is them actually how they tighten it. 17 bolts by hand. And so that's just kind of a small example of an implosion and what would have probably happened to the ship. It's obviously within a blink of an eye.
BBC are reporting that investigators will be looking in particular for the site of the rupture, but that will be tough because the Titan broke into pieces. They're reporting that investigators are going to bring those pieces.
Okay, so this is the update on what they're going to do. I think this kind of as far as the salvage rescue.
Of debris up to the surface, analyze them under a microscope, and look for tears and other clues. Anne-Marie?
So the Navy reported hearing underwater sounds, which could have been this submersible imploding shortly after the Titan lost contact on Sunday. It happened at the same time. It lost contact, and the Navy heard what sounded like an implosion. What more do we know about this and just why it took so long to confirm? You know, there were all these resources that sort of poured in to this search effort when it seems early on we would have known that it should be a rescue effort.
Yeah, so a Navy official has told CBS News that the Navy detected an acoustic anomaly consistent with an implosion shortly after the Titan lost contact. That was on Sunday. The official says that information was shared with the Coast Guard, which used it to narrow down the search area. We understand that the Coast Guard wanted to keep going with the search so that it could confirm that the Titan had indeed come to a catastrophic end, and that they got that confirmation when they found the debris through that remote operated vehicle yesterday morning. There were also those banging noises heard on Tuesday and Wednesday, and those had to be assessed. That naval officer told CBS News those were later found to be noises coming from other ships in the area.
Boom. And thank you once again to Carolyn, who was on yesterday. If you didn't catch that live, I would check it out. She was screaming to come on the channel, not literally, but because she obviously she's our scientist on the team, and yeah, that's exactly what she said. She believes that was most likely coming from just the other ships that were coming in to help, because you got all these ships, coming to, help for the search efforts, and so it can get real noisy. And yeah, so kudos to Carolyn from Honor Secrets, who kind of caught that.
And now that the worst case scenario has...
One of my sources has reported that...
Okay, so this interview, sorry, I had to kind of zoom it in. Maybe I can move it over here. Oh, yeah, it cuts over to the right, I think. But yeah, so he's the one that has, I think, like a source that was, I'm assuming maybe on the Polar Prince. But I thought it was very interesting that apparently he got word that the crew knew something was wrong, and they did try to drop their ballast, which is the weights. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll just show you real quick. So these are what they use, little construction pipes. This is another concern. And these are it. These are actually hooked. And so these are kind of the weights. And so if you guys haven't caught my other shows, I kind of explain the whole process of how it goes down. And basically with these ones, you have the mothership Polar Prince. They have that little cool dock thing that a lot of people have said that was a great design with the dock, how it, separates, and then it kind of floats while the dock moves out of the way, the floating dock part. And then basically the weights, once they release the balloons and stuff, these weights just do their thing. And so basically they just drop down, and they really don't run the motors because, they're trying to save energy. So it's really just gravity doing its thing. And then as you get close to the bottom is when then you would start running your motors. But if there is anything to go wrong, there's supposed to be different ways that these weights, ballast as they're called, are to eject, and it just will, even if you didn't have motors running, you would just float to the surface. And there's one that's called the dead man switch, which I guess would just instant release these. And then there's another way where there's a ring that's attached to these ballasts, and that ring, or they call it a necklace, it slowly disintegrates while it's under the water. So if they're under there for, I forget the timeline, but if they're under there for a certain amount of hours, no matter what, that ring or that necklace will erode and then release these ballasts. But this guy is going to talk about something that's pretty interesting that relates to this.
About the time that they lost comms, or just before they lost comms, that they reported they were trying to release ballast. What that means to me is they were heavy. They were descending faster than they were supposed to. So they were trying to get rid of weight. That's ballast. They were trying to get rid of weight. What could have caused that? Again, maybe there was a computer glitch and their thrusters got stuck in down, and they were driving themselves down faster than they needed to and couldn't fix that. Or they suffered an incursion into the hull, so we had water coming in. That may have shorted out the electronics.
This is my warmest beanie. I look like a robber, but it's all good. It's all about being warm.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a longer interview, but that part of the interview I wanted to snag because I thought that was interesting because I haven't heard anything like that as far as any known problems that as far as it relates to the sub. So I thought that was quite interesting that it sounds like they were having problems and they were trying to fix that by coming back to the surface, but for whatever reason that didn't happen. So absolute tragedy. But so let me check the chat, and then the video I got next. Thank you to D. So shout out to all my wonderful mods: Jennifer, Molly, Jocelyn, Karen Lee, Copper Horse, Michaela. We got wonderful mods. You have any questions, please feel free to ask my mods. And I agree with that. A lot of these guys were adventurers. So I guess, if you're going to go out, you'd want to go out doing the thing you love. But yeah, it's kind of a tragic because you're leaving behind your family, and I could only imagine what they were going through for the 4 days that they didn't have any answers. Ain't no way I would go, not even for $1 billion. If I wasn't claustrophobic, I would love to see the Titanic, but I'm more of a space guy myself, so I would, any ticket to go into space, I'd be on it. I know I paused it where this guy's wearing a mask. So this video, so to give you context, this is one of the passengers, one of the many. And this guy was actually supposed to be on one of these trips. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure. Let me know, D. I think, was he even possibly slated to be on the trip that the others were on? So this guy could have actually been one of the sad casualties. So I thought that was interesting. So we'll play a little bit of the video. This is his experience. So this is, I think, like 3 days before the Sunday's incident. So it's kind of wild.
Look at Kendra. Yeah. Y'all watch your pockets. I'm coming for you. Change.
The vibe.
No, I think it is.
No, it's not, I promise.
What do you mean? It's all about being warm.
I think you should take it off.
So right now we're trying to grab some gear, maybe a warmer jacket, some waterproof boots. All right, look. Show the world. Final product.
You need this? Yeah. You're gonna throw it to me somehow.
All right.
Around the inside. Around the other side. I mean, the other side.
All right, submarine's coming in quickly. A lot faster than we anticipated. KJ, how was that?
Nerve-wracking.
All right, there she is right there. Oh, go ahead. All right, she's throwing out another rope. Boom. All right, so take a look. So there's a Titan submarine getting pulled alongside the ship.
So here is that sub literally just days before it would take its descent on Sunday. So kind of eerie to see that, knowing this was just taking 48 hours, something like that, before the final trip. Yeah, let me read this comment. This is a great comment. Yeah, if carbon fiber was a valuable and dependable material, the military would use it, or another form, or the marine, but it's not. Yeah, totally agree. Because it can withstand those pressures, but it takes a toll on it. From what that one sub expert was talking about. And yeah, so every time, it's going down there, it weakens it. And then of course, when it weakens, there's no just hairline cracks. It just goes.
They're doing some maintenance right now on the Titan. They want to bring it alongside the ship. That's why they're doing that right now. There's the owner right there. He's going to put the buoys alongside on top so it doesn't get banged up. But look at this, y'all. So we had a small window of opportunity for good enough weather to potentially dive on the Titanic. So in the middle of the night, we started heading towards the Titanic, and I'll tell you right now, the weather was a bit rough. Throughout the next few days, the team worked on a submarine, and I also worked on a few videos to share on my YouTube channel. The waves are so big though, I could not concentrate because it was throwing us all across the room. So I had to close my laptop shortly after and think of something else to do.
Michelle! Okay, good. No chairs.
All right. Once arrived on the Titanic site, I decided to collect some water samples. I like to do stuff like this for souvenirs for my family. To most people, it's just water, but to me, it's a piece of memory, and it's just kind of a cool souvenir in my opinion. So yeah, here I was, throwing a bucket over the edge, collecting some water, and my original plan was to give one away to a subscriber. I can still do that. If you would like one, feel free to leave a comment. It's not like a big giveaway or anything like that. I'm not trying to get anyone to like this video or subscribe or anything like that. That was my original plan, was to give away one to my subscribers. So if you want one, feel free to leave a comment and maybe I'll choose you. After collecting the water samples for my family, it was time to toss our reef in the ocean and say a few words for everyone who lost their lives on the Titanic. So Kenny and I had a great time on this trip. We didn't get to dive this time, but we had so much fun. We got this beautiful reef.
So we're going to see a video of his trip. There's not a lot to it because it didn't last too long, but so I'm going to skip forward a little bit. But for those that are just tuning in, we're watching a video of influencer, YouTuber, I'm not sure exact the right words, but he apparently was on this trip and could have been possibly one of the passengers that could have been on this fatal trip on Sunday, but he went a couple of days before. So here's them getting onto the ship here.
Oh, wait.
All right. Let me see that camera, bud. I'm gonna pass it over.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, will someone grab that?
That'd be good.
Thank you, bud. Oh, that's really good.
Hold it.
Oh, shit, sorry about
wait. It'll come to you. Yep. There you go. Got it.
Hey. Okay.
So this is really the experience, what these 5 passengers experienced on that day.
We're on the platform right now, about to get inside the submarine. It's getting real. Jeez. I'm a little nervous now, boys. right. She's out.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, yo. All right, we're inside the submarine right now. Got the
Speaking of the pressures at the depth of the Titanic, which is 12,500 feet, if you took the Eiffel Tower and flipped it upside down and put it on your big toe, that is the pressure of that depth. Fun fact.
right back there, Stockton. That's the toilet. Hopefully we don't have to use that. Water leaking in the front. They'll put a vacuum on it. Yeah. All right, guys. We're sealed. We're in here. All right, we're inside and sealed in the submarine. I'm excited. First time in the submarine. It's really cool here, too. Keep in mind what you're looking at right now is the exact same submersible that imploded and killed 5 people. And also, any footage you see of Stockton, of course, you know, he's passed away by now.
Tell him we're at 600 feet.
Titan is ready for dive. Stockton's like, hold on, everybody. I guess we're about to go head first like this. Oh, we're going on now? Oh, I the toilet. Oh, yeah, we're doing it. Oh, we are all upside down right now, you guys. Look at that. We're underwater.
I'm assuming it's not supposed to be pointed down like that, so I'm assuming why this ride didn't last too long. Because I think this is the same thing that happened with the Reporter, something where it didn't go down flat. Like they were going to go one nosedive or tail dive. And so it sounds, or it looks like this is the same thing happening here.
So we're officially underwater in a submarine right now. 33 feet, I believe, right? 10 meters.
33 feet.
Are you ready for unlock? Or are we unlocked? Is he saying we are unlocked or are we ready for unlock?
Yes, say give him an okay. Give him in the dome.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
He's going to go pull the mechanical lock, and we're going to see how the pneumatic lock is doing. So there's a chance we'll pop off.
Still no pings from the top side. Hey, Stockton, what are you using to control the submarine?
Debbie, you're locked in. Okay to lock in?
Okay. To go to dinner.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That means they're probably going to bring us up.
So, yeah, you know, because we've had no comms for
a while. So you know how to eat my last cookie.
This is a pretty...
This is vertical. He's getting aggressive on us.
There's a bubbles. Yeah. Come out. Yeah, look at
that. That was a good blow. Not bad, huh?
Where are we rolling? Okay, go left. Go
left.
Right, no, we need to catch him. Pretty good.
Okay.
We're good. Now, here should come the roll. Maybe we want to go.
It's cool when we break the surface.
Yeah. Yeah, go left. Lean a little left. Keep going left. Balancing. Oh, nice job, Kyle.
Yeah.
Look at Kyle.
Nice one, man.
I don't know exactly the game plan for this particular dive. We never left the platform. If the fog didn't roll in and cancel the dive, who knows? Maybe we would have left that platform and maybe we would have imploded. But I can tell you right now, I feel like I dodged a bullet, but I also feel very bad for the families who lost loved ones. Like I said before, I didn't know these people too well, but they treated me very nicely and I lost a few friends as well. If you're chasing big dreams and pushing your limits, obviously dangerous things can happen and, you know, can be fatal. In this case scenario, 5 people lost their life in this exact same submersible that I was going to go down in the Titanic in. I think this is a big reminder, not only to myself, but everyone, that life is very precious and it can go away very quickly. Like I said,
Very true. But wow, what a scary scenario though. And yeah, no comms once again. Yeah. And it's so crazy. I have that promo video that we watched. I don't think I played it yesterday, but I played it the other day. And that promo video was made, I'm pretty sure last year, or at least uploaded last year. But and I know there was many trips before that or on during that time where passengers, that seems to be the main thing, is the no comm situation. And so you would think after how many failed attempts with no comms, they would fix that. And that was one thing that they did not like, is the whole text message thing between the mothership and the submersible. So absolutely just a terrible tragedy that sadly could have been avoided. So I've got a few other things here. I'm not going to go too long today because I did a live yesterday. I usually don't do a live on Thursday. I did do a video I uploaded, which has got a little bit of James Cameron interview, not all of it, but some highlights of it, which we did kind of watch. Thank you so much, Ruby Red, for the $10 super sticker. You are so awesome. That helps out this channel so much. Some other things, and then we'll look at, I do got a website that has got a few updates on what the plan is with the Salvage, and there could be, I know there's like an outside camera on that thing. Obviously they had cameras inside, but there's at least, I think, one outside camera on the ship, and if the pressure capsule for the camera is intact down there, then they would be able to retrieve video evidence. I don't think obviously you would be able to see the actual incident happen because it's pointed away, but you might get a sense of, when did something go wrong. Be kind of interesting to see. Another thing that was surfacing that I wanted to bring up, because this has been surfacing on Twitter. This is not the real photo of the wreckage. This is actually a computer AI generated photo. This is not the real thing. I've been seeing this passed around, just like the false audio that was played. That was supposed to be the banging noise, which was not the real thing. So let's see what. And just on a brighter note, so I don't forget, our scientist, Carolyn from Honor Secrets, she's got Mr. and Mrs. Ducky here. She wanted it to make to the pet outro, but I just haven't had a chance to get them in, so I thought I would show you. She feeds them every day, so shout out to Mr. and Mr. Ducky. Kind of. So let me check chat here, and I'm going to pull up the latest details on what I guess we can expect from the Salvage wreck, or at least what's out there in the news. Yeah, rainy days. So apparently what I've gathered is, so it's a 8 to 10 day excursion, and of course you pay the $250,000, sign a bunch of papers, which apparently those legal documents, because obviously there's going to be a lot of legal talk, apparently they covered their butts as far as the legal end on the papers relating to, can the family sue OceanGate? I mean, I don't know, maybe there could be some loopholes or some things they missed, but as far as I know, the lawyer, he was on a couple of shows. I know he's on WFLA, and said that the documents looked pretty secure, but you never know. But obviously, hopefully, there'll be some new regulations because of this incident. And if you didn't see my video, if you're wondering where the wreckage is at, let's see here. And then we'll look at the new updates. So absolutely crazy. So here, the Titanic, for some that may not know, obviously it's split in two. And you've got the bow and the other section. And they're spread out about 2,000 feet. In between that, you've got a big debris field as well. It looks like the oceangate sub ended up within the 1,600 feet radius of the bow of the Titanic. And from what I understand, what they try to do is obviously they, before this incident happened, they would when they would drop down, because obviously they're not using any motors or anything, and you don't really want to drop directly on top of the Titanic and get stuck. They'd usually go, so many miles away from the wreck site. That way they could drop safely down, and then kind of make their way to the Titanic wreck site. But so 1,600 feet doesn't sound that far. So I wonder if they did kind of get pulled over that way, or kind of was off a little bit. Okay, so let me take a sip here. So there's just some of the latest news. So apparently the ROV that found the debris field was this pelagic Odysseus 6K. The ROV, so it says, began its mission late morning local time and will take about an hour to reach the location. It's the second mission of the Odysseus 6, and is for continued mapping and documentation of the area, insisting in any direct recovery of the debris. Spokesman Jeff earlier told CNN that any attempts to recover anything from the debris field would involve a large operation, as the pieces would be too heavy for the vehicle to lift by itself. That's interesting. So I guess this ROV can get down there, but and I know it's got robotic arms, but I guess any debris it's not going to be able to carry up. So kind of curious to know how they're gonna, if they're gonna do that, kind of bring down a line of some sort, and then the ROV will bring the line down and then somehow kind of wrap it around and then bring pieces up at a time. Any recovery mission would be done alongside Deep Energy, another company assisting with the mission. So Deep Energy, I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look to see if that's a ship or an ROV. Many of these articles and people coming forward saying, just former passengers or would-be passengers expressing concerns. This is big. So the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, TSB, is launching an investigation into the fatal incident. A team of investigators is now traveling to Newfoundland to gather information and conduct interviews. In the coming days, we will coordinate our activities with other agencies involved, the TSB said in a statement. It said its investigation would be into the fatal occurrence involving the Canadian flagged vessel Polar Prince, which is the mothership to the Titan, and the privately operated submersible Titan. The TSB added it will conduct a safety investigation regarding the circumstances of this operation conducted by the Canadian flagged vessel Polar Prince. Let's see. Fundamental design of Titan sub criticized by Undersea Explorer, which is many have come forward now. One thing I did see. So another thing that they saw that could have added. So not only was this carbon fiber hull, but they said the way that this was designed, the shape, even though it's a cylindrical shape, I guess there was a certain part of it that, and I don't know if that was part of the tail or something, but this design as a whole, mixed with the carbon fiber, and I wish I had time to find that video where an expert talks about this. I think it was on a video. He said that would actually cause, because, so obviously the pressure you want is equal amount of pressure everywhere. So that's why obviously a sphere or a cylindrical piece of object makes the most sense, because you've got pressure on all equal sides. But when you've got this fin type deal on the back, it's not that same cylindrical pressure. So you're actually going to get more pressure, and I don't know exactly where. I'm not no physicist, scientist, but I found that really interesting, because that's the first time I've seen that, is that they were talking about this fin. I think it's the fin part of it, that could have caused part of the fatal flaw in this, one of the many flaws that this design had. But that totally makes sense, with it not having the equal amount of pressure, because it's not perfectly cylindrical. So I found that very interesting. There's the father and son. Sadly, I think the mother did a little interview. I couldn't play that. The one thing she did say is, at least it was father and son, and they were doing what they were passionate for. But it was really kind of tough to watch that interview with the mother of the father and son. So let me check chat here. I'm not going to go too much longer, because I am pretty bushed myself. Chip says he was pushing the limits. He was doing something very stupid. It was bravery or anything. Countless people from the sub-community wrote and expressed how dumb and unsafe it was, and he chose to ignore. Yeah, and I did have some emails. Oh, I don't know if I saved them. There was an email or text messages that were had been screenshot and put on Twitter, where somebody was bringing up a concern to, I think it was Stockton Rush. And I mean, Stockton Rush was polite, but this guy's bringing up concerns, and Stockton Rush is just saying, well, you got to take chances or something like that. Rainy Days, thank you, Chris and Mods. Very informative. Thank you so much, Rainy Days, for being a member for 13 months. I've seen something. Thank you, Chris. Great fact-packed live tonight. Appreciate very much, as always. Love. Thank you so much, Secret Twist, and for the donation. That is very sweet. I've followed this case, I'm sure, like most of you, since day one, and I usually have multiple devices out, trying to keep up with the latest, and it's just terrible that it had to end this way. I know a lot of people are wondering. Yeah, it is close. I think it's a little off, but yeah, it is kind of close to the Bermuda Triangle. If you believe in that kind of thing or not, it's kind of wild. Speaking of mobversaries, my 2-year anniversary is coming up. So I'll announce that date in a community post. That'll be next month in July. So we'll have a special live as well. Can't believe it's been almost 2 years being on YouTube. That's crazy. So I think that's a great way to look at it. Take up the positive out of any negative, the tragedy, and hopefully they will learn from this, and this will not happen again. Even though this is kind of like the wild, wild west when it comes to the ocean, hopefully there'll be some kind of laws put into place, and there won't be there'll be some regulations and stuff. But let's see. So yeah, we're just about to hit the hour. So I think I'm gonna end it there. I didn't want to go too long today. Like I said, I did a live yesterday and I put out a video today. I will recap real quick. If you missed the first part, we'll talk about the two things that I found interesting, and that is the talk about one of interviews. I don't know if I believe it was from today. A guy that I believe knows somebody on the Polar Prince was told that apparently there was some kind of problem before they got to the bottom, possibly being too heavy, and that they did try to drop these weights, the ballast, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, that did not happen, or maybe it did, but they sadly imploded. The other thing was that they did confirm, I guess, yeah, they did confirm that the noises or banging just came from other ships. And like I said, kudos to Carolyn, our scientist from Under Secrets. She called it yesterday. I had her on yesterday, and that was one of the things she wanted to come on the show, is talk about how the ocean, there could be so many various things that can cause banging. Even the Titanic wreck itself can cause anomalies. So that was a really interesting interview. And thank you to Carolyn for sharing that. And then, yes, they're going to try to salvage this wreckage. Unfortunately, this vessel, the Pelagic Odysseus 6K, can't do it by itself, so they're gonna have the deep end, deep something, assist in that. So, and of course there could be some video evidence. Let's see, do I have a picture of the ship? So there's a camera, I think, yeah, right here, and there may be another one on the bottom, I'm not sure, but I know there's at least one camera on the outside that's got, that's encased in a pressure case. And if that obviously didn't get damaged, then there would be some kind of video evidence giving them some kind of ideas. I'm sure just if they salvage some of the wreck, I'm sure that will tell them what happened, or at least give them some ideas. So let me check chat one more time. Grace, great research and show as always. Happy anniversary. Wish I found your channel sooner. Thank you so much, Camilla. You are so sweet. We got a wonderful community. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you can, please hit that like button. It really helps this channel. And thank you, Camilla, for the $10. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, Peyton. I wish I could shout everybody out. We'd be here all night. And that's a great point. At least they didn't suffer. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I want to read this entire thing. This tells how fast it happens. So when a submarine hull collapses, it moves inward at about 1,500 miles per hour. That's 2,200 feet per second. A human brain responds to the stimulus at about 25 milliseconds. Human rational response, sense, reason, action is at best 150 milliseconds. This supposedly happened, I think, in like 30 milliseconds or something like that. It was either 30 or 300 milliseconds. So faster than the eye can blink. So they would have no idea what would have happened to him. And I hope I'm saying this right. Lana Beautiful. Hopefully I got that right. So thank you so much for the $2 and prayers for the family, she says. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Generates heat. Interesting. So for those that are new to the channel, so I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern, unless there's some big, thing that comes out, then I'll do a short notice live, kind of like what I did yesterday. But that's my usual schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. And we usually go hour and a half at the longest. And then I also do short videos as well for those that, kind of like the short stuff. So I do multiple uploads a week. So, and then I've got stuff for my members coming up. And also another way to support me is support me through Patreon, which I'm going to be also uploading a bunch of stuff from our searches from Aiden Clune. So with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. I am going to go ahead and play the pet outro. At the beginning of every new month, we get our viewers who can send in pictures of their pets. So with that said, I love you guys, and we will see you next week.